If we remove the talking donkey, the story of Balaam might be one of the scariest in the Bible. Unlike innocent children, adults have a bias against believing that the all-powerful creator of the universe can do whatever he wants, such as making a donkey speak like a human. For that reason, let's pretend that God really didn't make a donkey speak, so we can focus on what he's saying in this story. It happened as God's covenant people of Israel were poised to cross into Canaan and take possession of their inheritance in the Promised Land. Since they had just defeated two powerful kings on the east side of the Jordan River, Balak, the ruler of Moab, grew afraid of them and asked for help from Balaam, a holy man who lived in Mesopotamia. Balak asked Balaam to put a curse on Israel so he could defeat them, and in return he promised to pay him a considerable sum. If Balaam was a holy man, for whom was he holy? Which god or gods did he serve? We really don't know for certain. Balak says of him that whoever you bless will be blessed, and whoever you curse will be accursed, indicating that Balaam had a reputation for wielding a power that ordinary humans didn't have. Balaam invokes the name of the God of Israel throughout the story, telling Balak that he can only speak what Yahweh tells him to say. Does that mean he had a good relationship with the God of Israel? Or that he knew of the God of Israel and invoked his name because Balak had asked him to curse the people of Israel? From his actions, we might conclude the latter. Balaam does get some things right, such as declaring that he cannot curse the one whom Adonai has not cursed. He even echoes the words of God to Abraham when he says of Israel, "He who blesses you will be blessed, and he who curses you will be cursed." Clearly, he is hearing from the one true God and speaking his words. We see from his actions, though, that his motive is to make money, which is why he finally agrees to Balak's invitation when Balak increases his offer to the point that Balaam considers it more important than God's direction not to go and curse Israel. He does bless Israel and prophesy good things for them, but he advises Balak to have his young women entice the Israelite men into joining them in worship of Balak's gods. And that brings Adonai's anger down on Israel and earns Balaam the eternal reputation for being a charlatan and a deceiver and an example to God's people of what not to do. That's what makes the story of Balaam so scary. Although he had the appearance of godliness, he was a selfish, worldly man who used whatever gifts God had given him as a commodity to trade for wealth, power, and influence. Is that blasphemy of the Holy Spirit? It's hard to say, but we can be certain that the Almighty doesn't appreciate being reduced to a magic charm to be manipulated on a whim. We deceive ourselves if we think this is only an ancient phenomenon practiced by pagans. We have plenty of examples of God's people trying to gain something for themselves out of service to the Holy One of Israel. Elisha's servant Gehazi comes to mind. After Elisha healed Naaman the Syrian of leprosy, Gehazi used his position to swindle Naaman, and for his labors God rewarded him with leprosy. Then there are the priests and prophets of Israel and Judah who pretended to speak in God's name and who received strong rebuke from true prophets like Jeremiah and eventual judgment from God himself. The scribes and Pharisees of Yeshua's day received strong rebuke as well when he said of them, "Woe to you, Torah scholars and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and everything unclean. In the same way, you appear righteous to men on the outside, but are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness." Judas probably appeared like that to his fellow disciples after he betrayed the Messiah. So did Ananias and Sapphira when they sought to deceive the apostles and keep for themselves a portion of the profits from the sale of their property, which they had promised to give to the community of Yeshua's followers. And so do preachers, teachers, and ordinary church members today who hold an outward form of godliness but deny its power. It's really a matter of faith, which is why Messiah wondered whether he would find faith when he returns. If we really believe our God, we will do what he says even if it costs us. Of course, doing what he says means we know him and his ways, and that means learning his word and cultivating relationships with his people so we can build each other up in the holy faith. What it doesn't mean is considering ourselves entitled or better than others. That's something else Yeshua explains. Well, then the Lord said, "If you have faith like a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you. But if you have a slave who is plowing or tending sheep, who among you will say to him when he comes in from the field, 'Come right in and recline at table'? But won't he instead say to him, 'Prepare something for me to eat. Dress yourself and wait on me while I eat and drink, and afterward you may eat and drink'?" He doesn't thank the slave because he did what was commanded, does he? So you too, when you've done everything you are commanded, say, "We are unworthy slaves. We have only done what we were supposed to do." Oh, that's the part Balaam missed. For him, service to God was the ticket to fulfilling his own desires. That's why it took a donkey to teach him true wisdom.